So, hello on this glorious Friday evening. I'm back again to reveal another five um, soundtracks from the great James Bond sound off. So, I'm going to be taking you from what is at number 15 through to number 11. Um, so, again, thank you for all participating in this because this is something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. It's just unfortunately life has been a little bit kind of given me a bit of time to do it because there is, there is a bit of work going into it because I've obviously got to get all the posts and stuff ready. Then I've got to count all the scores, and then obviously do all the calculations and do all the workings out and stuff. And then do these videos and then arrange for special guests. So yes, I hope you've enjoyed the video so far from myself, Mr. Stephen Bain and Neil Chemo Edge on their views on GoldenEye and License to Kill. I've got two more special guests coming up late, well, not after this, but in a few days' time. So anyway, let's get cracking on this wonderful Friday evening. So at number 15 is For Your Eyes Only, which is Bill Conti's sort of debut to the Bond world. It is definitely interesting how that any other composer other than John Barry totally gives Bond a totally different sound. I mean, we always kind of think, what would For Your Eyes Only sound like if John Barry had scored it? But yeah, For Your Eyes Only, it's an interesting one. I kind of sometimes think, was Bill Conti, was he kind of scoring a blue movie as well at the same time and kind of got the music kind of sheets crossed over, because this has got some really sort of 80s kind of porn sound vibe to it. But yeah, otherwise it's it's a good effort. It's different. There's Submarine, which is a great track because he uses kind of the opening motive to the For Your Eyes Only theme tune, and then expands on it. Gets the Bond theme and kind of builds it up in layers. Again, the gun barrel, really cool. He's got the electric guitar and everything, and he uses the Bond theme. He kind of gives it a whole new dynamic. So For Your Eyes Only lands in at number 15. Number 14 is David Arnold's second Bond score, The World Is Not Enough. I personally was expecting Tomorrow Never Dies to kind of be much higher, but it seems that this is voted by Hildebrand, is kind of scores higher than Tomorrow Never Dies. It's a brilliant score. This is a score where David Arnold has complete control because he writes the actual title theme and incorporates that into the score in various ways, into action, into sort of Bond arrives into another country kind of thing. And then he also composes Electra's theme, which kind of he uses that as a kind of a sinister turn, but that was also kind of based on the song which was sung by the late Scott Walker, which was intended for the end credits but was never used, which was Only Myself to Blame. Again, Submarine, I absolutely love that. That's a great track, and that is actually where David Arnold kind of does his take, pays tribute to Monty Norman, because Monty Norman in Doctor No, in the Tarantula scene, the music heard in that, David Arnold kind of does his own take on that in the Submarine track. It's kind of, apart from, like the Caviar Factory and the music that accompanies the boat chase, it's not quite, I don't know whether or not to say it's kind of as heavily driven as Tomorrow Never Dies is in terms of drum and bass. But the music for the bunker, that's really great because he kind of builds up the tension between Bond and Renard, which I think that scene alone is absolutely fantastic. That's just pure Shakespearean, that is, just these two great actors having a sort of a line off, if you like, having a bit of a face off with this music building up, and then also an all shit breaks loose, and then Arnold takes you there with the action. So yeah, The World's Not Enough lands in at number 14. Number 13, which again kind of ironic, is Octopussy. Now, seeing that Octopussy was the 13th Bond film, so this, yeah, I will stress, and I did stress that this, the scores was based on the La La Land expanded edition, which again I think this is probably kind of made it go up in some people's estimations. I mean, I've said it many, many times before. All the best stuff is heard on the film and never on the album. Obviously, listening to the album is obviously a lot more easy and a lot more accessible than watching a 2-hour film and just pinpointing the music. But we've now got all the music on the La La Land expanded release. So yeah, I mean, again, it lands at number 13. This is the second John Barry score to enter the ranks. And yeah, I'm quite pretty happy where it lands, really. And yeah, and I know there's a few people who actually have a lot of love for this score. I mean, since the La La Land release, my estimation's gone up massively. So yeah, no. So Octopussy at number 13. Number 12 is You Only Live Twice. Again, I mean, this is pretty strong effort. A very good effort for John Barry. I mean, this, again, this is quite memorable because you got the Space March, Capturing in Space. That daunting piece of music which was sort of spoofed by Michael Giacchino for The Incredibles. Plus, it's just a perfect example on what, on how much of a genius John Barry is, because obviously Bond goes to the Far East. Barry takes you there with the music. He, goes and does the research, picks up all these Oriental sounds, and then just includes it into his score and takes you there. So yeah, I mean, I personally think You Only Live Twice. I'm pretty happy, with it landing where it's landed. But yeah, it's really, it's a good score, really good score, and if not, probably a little bit underrated. Now, at number 11 is Moonraker. I was honestly expecting this to be in the top 10 because this is considered by many to be one of John Barry's bests. I think there's 3 scores: The Living Daylights, Her Majesty's, and Moonraker, which are considered to be Barry's best. Again, if fucking La La Land pulled the finger out and gave us a release score, all this will be different. I think. Once I know, give us another 50 years when we finally get the expanded scores, I'll do this again and just see how vast it changes, because I really think this would actually go higher up. Because I mean, again, the album presentation isn't great. I mean, this is just under 30 minutes, which is the shortest of the Bond soundtracks, and it's the only Bond soundtrack which doesn't actually have the Bond theme in it. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but with what I understand, I think there's about 17 minutes worth of music missing. So you've obviously got the pre-title pieces missing, all the free fall stuff, and you've got the music from the Gondola Chase, Venice, and probably a bit more. So yeah, I don't know. It's a shame because it is a real good soundtrack. But I mean, it comes at a number 11, which it's still pretty good. It's still pretty good. So yeah, so that is today's number 5. So Spectre 25, Doctor No 24, GoldenEye 23, The Spy Who Loved Me 22, Skyfall at 21, Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace at 20, Dawn of the Day at 19, License to Kill at 18, The Man with the Golden Gun at 17, Tomorrow Never Dies at 16, For Your Eyes Only at 15, The World Is Not Enough at 14, Octopussy at 13, which also happens to be 13th Bond film and unlucky for some. 12 is You Only Live Twice, and 11 is Moonraker. So join me Sunday to see what the next 5 is. Thank you for now. Good night.